Welcome back to the Unemployable Podcast. Initially, the whole idea of Unemployable when I started the podcast was about taking ownership of your situation. And today I have a great guest on. She's actually been working for me as a video editor and building her own business doing video editing for realtors across the country. But she's not even in the country. So super cool. Excited to have Anmol. Thanks for being here with us, Anmol.
Thank you so much. Thanks. I'm really excited to be here.
So first of all, just introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you living? Like, what do you do? That kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Anmol Kumar. Currently, I live in Mumbai, India. I've grown up here pretty much all my life, and I have worked in media, production, all things related to media for the past 6, 7 years. But for the past 4 years, I've been doing video editing. Earlier, I was doing it as a freelancer, just working with a lot of different clients. But this year, I decided to kind of start a business so that I can grow, help a lot more clients, and just grow as a person, entrepreneur also. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Awesome. So obviously, a lot of you know I have a YouTube channel that supports my real estate business called Living in Tampa, and I still get these emails a couple times a week from typically someone in India saying I can make your videos so much better, or your SEO needs work, or things like that. I can solve your problems.
Right.
So the first contact I got from you actually wasn't that different.
Yeah.
Maybe not as pitchy,
Yeah.
but I had an editor I had been working with locally, and I decided to stop working with them because they wanted way more money.
Mhm.
And you emailed me like within that week. I was like, let me
Right.
just send this person, my calendar link, see what happens. But you had put a little paragraph in that email toward the bottom about growing up with a mom that's a poet and some of the art that you like to do, just like the creative ventures. But also something else you did in that email is the way that you complimented me just stroked my ego the perfect way. Do you remember writing that email?
I was going through it recently, but I'm gonna try and see if I can find it right now because yeah, I remember writing that because the way I know that email marketing is a huge thing, but I always wanted to personalize it. And so I remember going through your channel and actually being impressed by the videos and just like genuinely feeling like, oh, this is someone I could be excited to work with. But obviously, when you're reaching out, you're not thinking that much. But I wanted to just take a little bit of an effort to just, make it like I've actually been through it. It's not one of those, mass forwards. That's what I wanted to convey.
Oh no, you totally compared me to Casey Neistat, which is like the biggest compliment I could imagine,
Right.
because I was like actively going back and rewatching all of his vlogs, like you would watch a TV show or something. I was just like binging
Yeah.
his vlogs. And so it was like the perfect compliment and the perfect moment in a time when I needed a new editor. So we just kind
Right.
of jumped in and started trying it out. Um, at that time, how many other realtors had you made videos for?
At the time, I had been working as a video editor in a lot of different niches, and I'd worked on a lot of YouTube videos in general, talking head style YouTube
Sure.
videos. I had worked with one realtor who's still my client even to this day. And he was one of my first clients who was in real estate. So he was my one major client. And then I had done, I think I had worked with 2 or 3 other clients on different projects in that time, but one client who I kind of was doing real estate properly, and that kind of made me feel like this is something I enjoy doing and wanted to pursue.
Yeah. So growing up, going to university, like, did you imagine some kind of like creative outlet as your career?
100%. When I was growing up, I loved all things creative, whether it's art or filmmaking or video editing came in much later, but just all things related to art and shooting and creating content and doing those kind of things. And I went to university and I studied mass media, like a bachelor's in mass media. We have this course. And I specialized in journalism. So I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to talk about the news, be on camera, have that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But eventually, I got a job as a producer and I was working across Southeast Asia and working on a lot of different things. And I enjoyed doing that. But most importantly, I liked working, like doing my own thing. I wanted to be like my own boss and kind of have my own freedom in doing things. So this was kind of a perfect fit, but I did think of it, but never to the extent where I am right now. Like if I told 10-year-old me that this is what I'm doing today, I think I'd be very, very happy.
Yeah, that's cool. So you growing up, your mom is an artist. I mean,
Yes,
you could call her an artist or an author, however you want to think of that. She's a poet, correct?
she's a poet, yes.
So what growing up in a home like that, how did that influence your creative outlets too?
Um, I think I was very fortunate in the way that my parents never put any pressure on me about studying a certain thing. They were just like, study for the sake of studying, enjoy studying, and do it because you like it. Because I'm not sure if you know, in India, there's a huge pressure of like either being an engineer or a doctor or having a one of those fields. So I
Yeah,
didn't feel that pressure, but because my mom was also an artist and she was very like creative that way, and she started pursuing poetry as a sort of career that she wants to build into in the last few years, and she's really really good, so I'm always very inspired and very inspired by seeing her. But it really definitely influenced me in the way to think that I shouldn't like restrict myself, and I should always think outside the box and
sure.
go go out of my head into doing new things and trying new things.
Yeah. So my mom's an artist as well. And just I grew up around that. And she's the kind of artist that can kind of do a little bit of everything, kind of like a jack
Yeah,
of all trades.
yeah.
Um, maybe a master of none, but she kind of can master a few things. Like she would get hired to do calligraphy for wedding invitations when I was a kid,
Wow.
or she was commissioned to do a few like murals for the city, like on
Right.
the side of buildings or things like that. And I mean, I say city, small town, Oklahoma. So not like it's a big like Banksy kind of thing. No, this is a small
Sure.
thing. But I grew up around that. And even just her being able to teach me how to do all kinds of things. She's taking like a printmaking class right now. She's in her
Wow.
60s. She's still doing those kind of things. They're taking my dad just retired and they're taking a pottery class together. So they're still
Nice.
doing all those kind of things.
Yeah.
But I felt like my mom looked at my creativity and thought like just and she would often say like just relax, just like go for it. Like and my personality, I'm wound a little tighter. Like that just didn't really work for me. And I felt like
Yeah.
I go for it and it looks nothing like anything you do. So I must be doing
Yeah.
it wrong. So I'm not going to do it. And that kind of
Right.
like shut down my creativity for years of my life. And when I started making these videos, something kind of opened up for me. Like it felt like, oh, this is fun. I can like push myself. I can try things. And then when I actually found an editor that saw the things I was trying and was like, yeah, maybe you could do it like this, or yeah, I could edit it with this style, or like somebody else that was on the other side of the project that was seeing kind of what I was trying to do made such a difference for me. And now it's still not like a huge creative filmmaking project. It's a real estate video for clients. Like, let's be honest. But
No.
having some kind of fun with it like that kind of took it to a next level for me, and it let me kind of pull on that string of curiosity and creativity and
Yeah.
scratch an itch that's been there since I was really young, but it gave me a
Yeah.
new outlet for
That's amazing. No, I don't think you should restrict yourself to say that
it.
it's not creative. I think any form of creativity or art outlet, it has your own personal touch, and you're always thinking about how do I make this different, what kind of thing. So there is some creativity in all of it, but it's more about the way we look at it.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of fun working together. We've done other projects together. We built the YouTube course together, some things like
Yeah,
that. And so it's not just been like these very simple YouTube videos. It's been some other
right.
things too, which has been
Exactly.
fun. But in the midst of that, I'm like building a business and have a young family, and I have my own growing pains of like leading people and like doing these projects and trying to figure out how I handle deadlines and those kind of things. And
Yeah,
you're growing it. We're like kind of growing in that path together. And so
yeah,
we had a few like moments of friction where it's like, hey, we're not hitting deadlines like
yeah.
I want to. Personally, I'm realizing I'm not communicating this well enough. And then you're feeling, bad about it. And so like take me back to some of your feelings in the midst of some of that like friction.
Right. I definitely remember in the first 6 months, there was a little bit of back and forth in certain periods. And I think a lot of it had to do with miscommunication. I mean, you're very gracious that you're taking it on yourself, but I think a lot of it was me being a new person in this industry and being a new freelancer, still figuring out how to do things on a month, like week in, week out basis.
Yeah, yeah,
I think before that, I was working on a lot of projects which were very one off or, one project a month kind of a thing. This was very per week, very fixed deadlines. And I think I definitely made some mistakes where I didn't communicate or ask enough time in advance or mention that this is going to take me another day and I'm going to
yeah, yeah,
submit it 2 days later. And then waiting. And I'm the kind of person who I would like not procrastinate, but like know it's getting late. And then I'd stress about it. And then it get even more late and I'd be scared to like say it. I know saying it would make it better,
yeah,
but just that stress of like, oh, I don't want to, this is a new client. I don't want to, make myself look bad. I don't want to, but at the end of the day, it was making me look bad. I just didn't see the bigger picture. So I remember definitely in the first 6 months, I remember there was one phase where there was a lot of gap, and then you were like, oh, maybe, we should rethink about this and like have a chat, this and that.
yeah, yeah.
But then I remember being like, no, this is very proper and trying to rethink how I approach this. So yeah, I'm happy that we figured it out, and it was definitely stressful. But I think I had a lot to learn from that and know how to be a better person. And that's why now I really believe in like over communication if it's necessary. Like
Yeah, yeah.
just mention it before if it's needed, but it's something that I didn't learn at that time.
And you have to kind of learn those lessons. And
Yeah,
I see it even with our clients. Like, hey, they want to price the house this high. Okay, hey, if we do that, if this is probably going to happen, but we can do it. And then they're like, okay, yeah, let's still try it. And then they can learn the lesson alongside us. Like, it doesn't always have to be like I'm teaching them the lesson. They can learn it.
yeah,
But it was interesting for you and I because we were both kind of learning different lessons at the same time. I was learning, okay, how do I work with a contractor who is doing some kind of creative thing for me? How do I communicate to them like that, which is hard. If you've ever
yeah,
if you're running a very like non-creative business and you're trying to communicate to a graphic designer about how you want something done,
yeah,
it can be really challenging. Like
yeah. You have to like
business
rethink.
owners really struggle with that.
Yeah, I
But
think the language really comes difficult.
yeah, and realtors often think, my editor didn't do it exactly how I wanted. And I'm like, it might take 40 videos before they like can kind of read your
Get
mind.
it?
Like it's gonna
Yeah,
take that many of like a
yeah,
lot of feedback. Like
yeah.
I would actually advise people like review the video and like record your face, like reacting
Yes,
to it and like say, oh, I don't like that. Like, that felt weird. Like all those kind of things would actually be really helpful for an editor. But we eventually
absolutely.
found a system of reviewing and kind of managing our progress that works really well.
Yeah. I think now it has come to a stage where it is super smooth. I think now we have like a month or 2 months where we might not have a phone call conversation just over Notion, sometimes even a week without even having any text. Like
Yeah.
it'll just be on Notion and everything's super clear and within the deadlines. And I think now it has come to a very smooth stage. And because of all the systems that you built, I think it's become a smoother sale process now.
I also love the system because it's actually really simple. Like
Yeah.
it's so simple. Like I don't want to overcomplicate it and like make it this big thing that like sends all these notifications and has all these kind of phases to it. Like no, it's a few very simple phases, and
Yeah.
it makes sure that like we're on the same page. We know where that the
Yeah.
project of that progress is. If I submit something and I'm like, hey, I need this by a specific day, I'm going to send you a text on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like we communicate on WhatsApp quite a bit. We hop on Zoom, once a month, once every 2 months, and just kind of catch up and like talk about a couple of projects that are upcoming or how certain things went. But for the
Right.
most part, it's very simple systems that we've built on Notion to manage that. And it's really just
Yes.
like a progress pipeline. Like it's ready to
Kanban
edit.
board.
Yeah, it's a Kanban board, like a Trello board. So that has helped us so much. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it took a while to get to that though. We were working together for over a year before I built that.
Yeah. I I think before that it was a little bit harder, but I think a lot of credit goes to the fact that there has to be some time and energy investment at the beginning of the step. Like setting up that board in the beginning takes a little bit of time and might be complicated, but once it's set up, the following weeks and months, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Similarly, even with Frame.io, I think it has made things so much easier for feedback. And before that, it would be a little bit more harder and challenging, like
So hard.
before
Yeah.
even Notion. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I don't see, I think most videos of ours will be I send one version, you give feedback, and then I send V2, and that's pretty much it. I
Yeah.
think rarely 1 in 10, 1 in 20 videos will have like a second change on the V2. So
Unless
it
there's
is
a very
really
specific
compact.
feedback that I'm being picky about, I don't even watch V2.
Right. Yeah.
I just go and like make sure the description and thumbnail are good and hit publish.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really glad that you trust me with it now. But V2, I think, and because I upload it directly on YouTube, so that you can go and make some of those changes, I think it saves a lot of time and makes it a lot faster.
Yeah, and we found those steps eventually. We didn't find them right away, but eventually you
Yeah.
realize like, oh, this could just go ahead and be uploaded and sit there unlisted for a while until
Yeah.
I get to like the actual date when it needs to go live. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's been a lot of fun, and I'm curious kind of what you're building now. I know you kind of made this turn where you want to really build your self-employment. So let's just call it that.
Yes.
Like previously you just had a job and you were your own boss. Now you're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how do I build this into a business and bring in some help to support some things and actually have some systems that kind of run these things. So where are you in that well, let's go why make that change and then kind of where are you now?
Okay, so why make that change? I think the first and most important reason I wanted to do this was to niche down into an industry I think there is a lot of scope of work for. I think real estate and realtors really need a lot of social media and marketing help, whether it's YouTube, whether it's short form content, but mostly centered around video. In the past few years, I know that a lot of YouTube channels are growing and getting a lot more work through that. And it's something that I genuinely enjoyed doing. Like I love traveling and I love knowing about other places and other cultures. So this was a way for me to find out about what life in different parts of the world is like and just generally
Mm-hmm.
get a behind the scenes look. So I genuinely enjoyed working on real estate and I know that there is a growing market for it. So I wanted to do something specific in this industry and also get my own expertise in this. If, like you said, like if I'm a jack of all trades, it won't be as good. Whereas if I'm working just with realtors, I think I can offer them solid advice and learn from different clients' pain points and their problems and have that kind of combined knowledge that makes me a little bit more expert in this niche.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to start this. And it's been definitely a very interesting ride so far. It's been a little over 6 months, so it's been
Yeah,
super
it's
fun.
interesting to kind of choose that niche that has the most potential for you, right? So first
Yeah.
of all, you have some skill there, but there's
Yes.
also a lot of opportunity there. Like if you had 10 clients like me that want to publish
Hmm.
1 to 2 videos a week, like
Yeah.
that's a very consistent like flow of all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, all kinds of like demand, all kinds of revenue, like all kinds of new challenges, and
Right.
that would kind of help you scale. But that's probably a big factor. Like, how many
Absolutely.
clients have you worked with that stay consistent?
Um, I would say 50% of
Yeah.
the clients stay consistent and 50% want to definitely be consistent. But there are a lot of hurdles with, either the process being a little overwhelming or, taking the shooting time taking a lot. But there's a lot of different pain points that I see clients often causing them not to be consistent, even though they want to be. But yeah, other than that, 50% I would say are actually being consistent with posting either once a week or once in 2 weeks, whatever their schedule is.
Sure. What do you think the most like what do you think the biggest pain point is that keeps realtors from being consistent and publishing videos regularly?
To be honest, I think not having a clear system is what holds everyone back. Like being consistent is a lot of different steps, one after the other.
Mhm.
And, it requires ideation, and then you have to actually script the video, and then you have to go and shoot the video, then you have to have some B roll for it. upload the video, feedback on it. So there's all of these little steps that you have to do. And the starting, which is the ideation and scripting, is where oftentimes people will get bogged down. Like they want to make it perfect, or they want it to be like
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
scripted out. So they end up spending a lot of time in it. But if you want to do this on a weekly basis, or on a proper schedule, I think you need to have some templates, you need to have some systems for everything which are replicable. So not
Sure.
having that, I think, makes them do one video, two video, three videos, and then they're like burnt out, and they want to take a break for a few weeks, and then they
Yeah.
rejuvenate.
What the point you're making that I actually really like, kind of this under point, is what keeps people from being consistent is actually organization.
Yeah.
Like just actually setting aside time on their calendar
Hmm.
to work on video ideas.
Yeah.
This is something that I teach realtors all the time. Like, hey, we need time for each of these steps.
Yeah.
You might need, 30 minutes a week, an hour a week to work on video ideas. So you always have this big pile of ideas. Then something comes up and you're like, oh, I kind of started that outline. Let me pull that over and write and finish that up. That town, I was wanting to do a tour of that town, but it got flooded by the hurricane. I don't really want to go down there and talk about it. I think the locals would be kind of annoyed if I did that. So let's pull something else from the pile and like build that out and then go shoot it.
Yeah.
But each of those steps, so coming up with the idea, developing the idea into like a usable outline or script, which I recommend outlines because
Yeah.
YouTube is unscripted content. It's not scripted content. But
Yeah.
then actually like having time that you shoot it too. I like to shoot two
Yeah.
videos at one time. Or I've had times where I shoot one video every day for a week and just get ahead.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this week is looking kind of light. I could go shoot two videos this day. I could shoot two videos this day. I could get kind of ahead on my videos for a while. That'll give me
Yeah.
some padding. But that's just kind of how I think of it. But that's also the point I want to make to realtors is that's how I use my calendar to serve me.
Right.
It serves getting the idea like matured, and then it serves me it serves me by helping me find times that I can shoot very easily. I'm already going to be in that neighborhood. Let's go an hour
Yeah.
early and shoot a video. But a
Right.
lot of it is just organization.
Absolutely. And adding to organization, I think, like you said, you'll think about a lot of ideas at one time, and then you'll go and make the outlines in one sitting.
Yeah,
Oftentimes, I see realtors think of one idea, script it, shoot it, and then start thinking about the second idea. So that's where the hamster wheel never stops.
yeah,
Whereas this way, if you're thinking about five, six videos at once, and then you think, okay, during this week, I'm going to be showing three houses in these neighborhoods, then okay, which of these videos can I like line up, and this one I can shoot in this neighborhood. So you're being a more efficient with your time and more
yeah.
organized, like adding that step of organization, which is like batch creating content. I think it's intimidating, but it's if you're organized, it's definitely doable.
So I'm looking at my Notion board right now. I have 10 videos that have outlines ready. I have another
Mm-hmm.
10 that are outlines started, another 25 that are kind of like I copy, I like something's written in there. It's not like an actual outline. Maybe it's a link or something. And then another
Mm-hmm.
23 that are just ideas.
Oh my god! So that's like over 1 year's content if you post once a week.
Yeah, and a lot of those have been in there for a long time, but it's just like so a couple of the ideas. Let's just go through a few of them. Market crash. Which is better, Wesley Chapel or Riverview? Buying from Canada, Tampa affordability, St. Pete neighborhoods. Like these are just like little snippets of
Yeah.
ideas, but best 55 plus communities, walkable areas to live. Like, um,
I think
yeah,
people really think that ideas have to be very fleshed out and cover a whole range of things. But I think on YouTube sometimes small ideas and going in depth into them, or just comparing two areas, that could be a small topic that only a few people are interested in, but
yeah,
it's something that is really helpful, and when you're posting weekly, it adds value, I think, in the long run.
right. And I think if you've ever moved somewhere or done research about moving somewhere, you know the kind of questions people are asking. You
Yeah.
can also use tools to see what people are actually searching for.
Yeah.
And then I tell realtors all the time, like, did your video answer the question that you set out to answer? Like,
Yeah.
if it did that, then it added value. It needs to just do
Yeah.
that one thing. Now, maybe
Yeah.
that it's a list of questions and answers. Maybe it's just one. Maybe is Parkland, Florida, right for you?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's the question you're answering, that you're like
Yeah.
resolving at the end of the video. I think people miss the simplicity of it. Like people are searching for something and looking for an answer. They're
Yeah.
not looking for like 20 possible answers to their question. They're looking for one.
E- Exactly. And I think thinking about who you're trying to talk to is the first step in this. I think people sometimes they'll like, for example, if they're making, okay, this city explained video, they'll go into depths about like statistics and this university is here and that is there and try to cram up all this information that, they're getting from different sources. But it's not coming across naturally because it's not their own opinion or not their own thoughts.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
approaching it from this angle of like, what would a person moving here think about, or what would their questions be, that would make it so much easier, and I feel like it would make the answers come more naturally for them and not have to be so scripted then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your business a little bit. Building takes time, right? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like nerve wracking and risky. And all of a sudden you're spending more money and you're like trying to hire people and you're like brand new at all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
how's that feeling right now?
It's very exciting. I think every day, every single day, I'm learning something new about myself, about how things work, and how to make things smoother, faster, better. I started this when it was just me, and now we're a team of three. At one point, we were a team of four, and my partner, like I had another person who was really helping me. But I think things keep changing. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to learn and adapt with. um, when you're finding the right team members, how to make them stay for the long time, and how do you, at the end of the day, make systems and processes that make this a smooth working machine. Because
Yeah.
obviously we have different clients that we're trying to work with, and the existing clients also, we want to make sure that the quality is improving, not just like staying the same, but we're trying to do something better. Or even if our skills are getting better, how do we make their videos better? So constantly thinking about that. And I think just being an entrepreneur, it's just so many hats at once. I'm marketing also, I'm sales also, I'm client servicing also, I'm
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
also, that also. So learning to do that is challenging, but very, very fun, because so much to learn and so much to find out about things.
Yeah. There's something special about that building phase when you have to do so many things.
Yeah.
Even my partner asked me this morning, he's like, how do you know how to host a podcast? I'm like, I just know how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
If I didn't, I could figure it out in an hour. That's just like a skill that I have. I can go figure out how to do it. And
Yeah.
I've always asked for opportunities that were beyond my skills. And that's something like, and I always regret it. That's what's funny. Like I'm like, hey, can I do that? And like they're like, do you know how to do it? I'm like, no, but I think I can figure it out. And then I get
Yeah.
into it and I'm like super stressed out. But I put myself in those situations again and again. I'm actually building this other business with partners of mine that are they've already built part of the business. Like they've been doing it for longer than me. They've been more successful in it than me. But I'm like, hey, can I have a seat at the table? Like, can I even contribute financially to have a seat at the table? And then
Right.
that when that worked out, I was like, oh my gosh, they're depending on me now. It like adds
Yeah.
all this new pressure
Yeah.
and new stress, and because all of a sudden you have more people you don't want to let
Yeah.
down,
Definitely.
and that's like a pressure I keep putting on myself year after year after year. I'm like I just ask for the bigger opportunity every
Yeah.
single year, and I
Yeah.
think that's just kind of how I'm wired.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it, because sometimes we have to push ourselves to do things. And I really believe in, like, a gut feeling, or like things, if something's pushing you in that direction, maybe it's for the right reasons. So I think, like you said, I can totally relate with the feeling of, if you don't know how to do something, just go and figure out how to do it. Because in
Yeah, yeah,
today's world, with Google and YouTube and even Chat GPT and whatnot, there's thousand ways to learn something. There's free courses that people have made and put on YouTube about
yeah.
every single thing.
Oh yeah,
So I just find it so exciting. And so, like, how to build a website, or how to how do I go about LinkedIn or email marketing, building an email list and sales pitches and everything. This, I'm just trying to every day watch YouTube videos about different things, and people are sharing so much knowledgeable, like so much of their knowledge with people on free. So I think you can learn anything that you want to if you really put your mind to it.
absolutely.
So it's just about experience and like practice makes perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So we were talking on Monday just kind of about customer acquisition. Like how do you find
Yeah.
more customers? So
Yeah.
you're in India and your potential clients are in the US.
Yes.
How do you reach out to them?
So mainly it will be through some form of social media marketing or email marketing. Right now, most of my clients are through referrals. So, clients who are happy with us, they will refer us to someone else that is usually looking. And I found in real estate, I think that I'm sure it's true in a lot of other industries. It works really well because people don't have the time to go and like find someone that they want and go
Yeah,
through the
yeah.
whole interview process, and b, if someone trusts, puts a like stamp of authority, they're more likely to go and work with that person. So referrals have been really really helpful, and that is something that I want to grow. But other than that, the aim is to grow either through, I mean, mainly through email and social media marketing. So social media, I think, is what will help me in the long run. I'm actively trying to build my Instagram and have a little bit of a presence on LinkedIn, have my
Mm-hmm.
own website, so that even though I might not be in their area and cannot meet them physically, I want to show my authority and also show that we are a legit business doing this, and we can genuinely help you no matter where we are in, like which part of the
Yeah.
world we are in.
Yeah, services like that people have recommended to me, I haven't seen on my own. Like I use this kind of editing service. They do all kinds of like projects like that called the
Mm-hmm.
futures. And it's like
Okay.
a quarterly retainer kind of a thing. And you can
Mm-hmm.
submit like 2 tickets at a time. They were helping me like do some logo stuff, some landing
Mm-hmm.
pages, and like doing some podcast editing, like clips.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never heard of them until somebody told me about them. It's
Right.
just the power of a referral or word of mouth is so big.
Yeah.
And I feel that in real estate too. Like, so I moved to the Tampa area, brand new to Florida, brand new to real estate. My family, my in laws down here, they don't buy and sell houses. They don't really know people that buy and sell houses. That's not like a thing that crosses their mind. So,
Right.
starting from scratch, how do I find people? Okay, I figured out I could do it through YouTube. But then what happens is you need those people to refer more business. You need those people to introduce you to new people. And that is the most valuable kind of connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes actually what happens is we find somebody finds us through YouTube, and then we find out they actually know one of our other clients. And they
Right.
both found us through YouTube and they didn't even talk about it. And like
Right.
so sometimes it overlaps in some funny ways, but the
Yeah.
power of a referral
Yeah.
is really big for a business like yours. And that's something we were talking about, like actually teaching somebody how to refer you business,
Yeah.
actually creating some kind of follow-up system, maybe creating some kind of value add, like a little
Yes.
webinar or something, like showing how your process works. Like there's a lot of things I think we could do with that would
Yeah.
help you retain people a bit more. But still, if only
Definitely.
50% of them are consistently doing it, it gets harder and harder.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of my job is not just video editing, but also I'm trying to build it into a more full service business where we help them a little bit with scripting, help them with, we also help them with like designing their thumbnails, editing the videos, and then repurposing their videos into like shorter content.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes also guiding them with strategy, with how to go about it. And then overall also giving advice about how do you shoot, your A roll, how do you light scenes, how do you go out
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shoot B roll. There's a lot of aspects to it that we try to help our clients with, so that they're not just stuck with the editing. And we don't want to be just like the editor who you just send off the work and you just get it when you get it. We want to be like a partner in the process. So we try to do that, but convincing people to do take time out to do this when it's not, it doesn't have a clear ROI immediately, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's difficult a little bit.
Oh, it's very difficult. And I see realtors, so many realtors have struggled this year in 2024. It's been
Yeah.
the lowest transaction count since the past 30 years.
Right.
Thankfully, we've done well in the Tampa area. Tampa hasn't suffered as much as some markets.
Right.
But still I see people just scared to spend money,
Yeah.
scared to invest in their business. And maybe because they don't have any money to spend, but also like partners that I've had that have, paid for marketing or things like that or events. They're just kind of tight with everything right now. And
But
and
yeah,
that kind of approach whenever things are slow, like keeps you from gaining market share.
yeah,
And that's something I see again and again. Like people are timid to spend money to build the thing that doesn't have a quick payoff, or to get a partner to pay for something that doesn't have a quick payoff. Like that's
yeah,
challenging. But I also, like, I edited my first 100 videos, and then I paid my editor out of my own pocket for the next year, and then I got a partner to start paying for it. And then you have to kind of roll with it and figure it out. And sometimes you have to prove that you're willing to do the work before somebody else is willing to pay for it, or be a part of it. Or
yeah,
like, sometimes you have to just prove it. I was new,
yeah,
so I had no chip on my shoulder of like, these people owe me. I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna work. I
yeah,
I think I can do it for 3 months. So let's see what happens after that.
yeah,
But you're just kind of taking it one chunk at a time. It's kind of how
yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one step at a time and trying to build it out. I think when the people are really scared because they're only able to see short sighted, like next few months, next 3 months. But marketing, not just for real estate, for most industries and for most businesses, I think is being on social media or having a marketing presence online. I don't see any cons of it. Maybe
Yeah,
it'll be slow, but there's only pros, I feel, because down the line, in 6 months, in 1 year, when there is enough of a base, it's a machine that kind of works for itself. Like, sometimes, like, even if you don't post a video for a week or two, it's not like the phone is going to stop ringing because the content has been there for so long.
yeah,
So now when there's a slow time, I'm trying to advise my clients to like double down on it. Like, you have the time to do it. Like, this is the time to go in, and especially 2025 right around the corner, in Feb, and once the high season rolls out,
yeah.
everyone's going to be wanting to look. So if you start then, I think it's going to be a little too late. Like, now you can start and get that lead, but then having that foresight and thinking broadly, it requires, a little bit more of an overview.
It does. And also the end of each year, we can kind of talk about my own videos for a minute here. I reshoot a lot of stuff. I'm
Hmm.
curious kind of your perspective of that, like pros and cons of Tampa. Don't move here. I reshoot some things like that get a lot of
Yeah,
traffic, because they really get a lot of traffic in the beginning of the year.
yeah,
So you have to kind of ride those waves and play that system a little bit. I'm
yeah,
curious because you've seen me shoot a pros and cons of living in Tampa video probably five
yeah,
different ways. I'm
yeah.
curious kind of your perspective of that.
Yeah, I think if something's working, it's important to double down on it. Like, if people are looking for that information, pros and cons, or like market. I know another client who does market update videos, and every month or every other month he'll do like a proper market update about all the things, the inventory, whatnot. And it's something that people are looking forward to, and it gets a lot of traction because people want the most updated information.
Yeah.
And even though you might not be saying something drastically different, right, in those two videos, it might be like just a few things that are slightly different, but people want the most updated view. And I think it's there's also curiosity. I think I've seen a lot with like videos that have a negative title, or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
reasons you shouldn't move here, or why you'd hate living here, or this may not be for you. I feel like people are really like curious about that and get a lot of click through, a lot of engagement because people are commenting and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's fair. Like, it's not that if one video is done in one way, I think it's a good idea to reshoot it. After some time, if you have some new information to add to it. So I've enjoyed like editing all those pros and cons videos.
Yeah.
Like, it has been fun. I think the viewers also find some knowledge in it, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too. And I've had stretches where I just don't want to make negative videos,
Yeah,
or even like negative titles or thumbnails. And I don't really do that much
yeah,
anymore. But there are genuine reasons why someone might not like living here. I'm going to highlight
yeah,
those reasons. And, locals are going to criticize me in the comments. Other just like people that pass by criticize. But my
yeah,
actual clients that call me, they're like, no, I like that you like gave the reasons that we might not like it. We still want to move. Like
yeah,
they like that honesty, that sincerity. They also
yeah.
understand that it's a marketing video.
Yeah,
that like,
absolutely.
yeah, maybe I'm trying to accentuate the negatives in this one video, but most people in my industry in general take the negatives and turn them into positives. So I'm trying to not do that in the midst of it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But also when you have this body of work, when you have this
Yeah.
library of content, people they come in for that one video that it's kind of popular at the beginning of the year. YouTube
Yeah.
recommends other videos they might like. If they're
Yeah.
on Zillow looking at houses in the suburbs, my video about Wesley Chapel is going to get recommended to them on the YouTube home screen, and they're going to have
Yeah.
more exposure to how I think and to kind of how I view the whole area and how we help our clients.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of funny. Like there are definitely like waves
Yeah.
where people need like real estate slow during the holidays, November, December. That's when people should double down and shoot a bunch of videos that are going to do
Yeah.
really well in January, February, as long as
Absolutely.
there's not Christmas decorations in the background. I run
Right.
into that every single year. I'm trying to shoot a bunch of videos in December and there's Christmas decorations all around.
Right.
I guess
Yeah,
it's
I
not that big of a
mean,
deal.
yeah. I also like to think that, sometimes you may feel like, just to add to your last point, that things are negative, and I think people who have a negative comment are more likely going to comment and not the positive ones.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's A.
for sure.
But B, I also think it helps filter out your target audience, right? If they're watching that video and they like what you have to say and then they call you, you're like, okay, they genuinely are, willing to work with me, and it
Yeah.
adds that layer of trust. So if it reaches the right people and they like you, then I think it's a right fit. It's most about being, like, having the right honest opinion. That's what
Right.
you should do it,
So
not
we've
for the
closed.
clicks.
Yeah. We've closed about 130 deals from YouTube now in 4 years. And I've found that a lot of the people that call us, they aren't subscribers. They've never commented on a video. They've
Right.
never liked a video.
Right.
And the people that call are they're doing research. They're
Yeah.
serious. And then YouTube keeps recommending our videos after they watch a few. And then
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, we've been watching for a few years. We just decided it's time to call. So like people look for that kind of engagement to
Yeah.
tell them something, but it doesn't always tell you much. I'm curious
Yeah.
though, if that is a service you would include is comment management.
Um, Definitely. I think comment management to some extent is needed and necessary, especially for the engagement. And there's a lot of things that you need to do, like pin a comment and, reply to certain, like, favorite a comment. But at the end of the day, I would like to work with the realtor to kind of first understand their tone and voice and just
Yeah, yeah.
how would they come across, so that, there's no mismatch. But all of these things, like scripting and commenting, I think it's something initially that we'd have to work with the real estate agent, and then we take it on once we understand their style. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's needed. I think there is a, like, all the people who are on YouTube should do that with their comments. So I definitely want to expand into it, but to, like, step by step.
Yeah. So I have an assistant manage my comments just because I get kind of bogged down in it. I get like
Right.
emotionally bogged down in it.
Right.
But it is a good place for like video ideas. Oh, three people asked this question. Let's make a video just answering that one question. And so like
Absolutely.
I think it could help with some of the like ideation if you take on
Yes.
some of that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
That's a
just
good idea. Yeah. I agree. I think that from there you get the most, like, the best ideas, because people are directly asking that question, or people are directly, raising those concerns.
yeah,
So it's definitely, there's some value to it. But yeah, just to add to, like, I think that, like you said, not a lot of people subscribe to your content, but they're still watching. So, I think this is really funny in real estate, because the number of subscribers doesn't necessarily mean anything, on
no,
YouTube
yeah, yeah,
channels. I feel like that's not a good metric to judge your channel on,
yeah,
because the engagement and generally the views, I think, is bigger than the number of subscribers you may have. Because one person may not watch every single video you're putting out, but there might be one person one day who just sits and watches 50 videos.
absolutely,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So I just to kind of finish up with a story about another realtor. He has a big channel in a different metro area, and he started doing these like tour videos. Like I toured the like this mega mansion or things like that. Very
Right.
interesting. He's really interesting, but some of these videos got 500,000 views. So all of a
Wow.
sudden he's making like good money from AdSense actually, His
Right.
one video made him $7,000 the first month that came out.
Wow.
So, but then it trickles off. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't expect to keep making that. But people stopped calling him,
Right.
and he was like, "I think I messed something up." He's like, "I think I messed
Right.
something up in my channel by going after all these views." And he was trying something. I think he can recover it and start making that the more value add. He's like, but people just want the basic, sometimes boring stuff of what would it look like to walk through that park?
Yeah.
What would it look like to go visit every park in that town? Are the
Yeah.
parks good? Like sometimes it's that kind of a basic premise that people actually want. Not
Yeah.
like what's the most expensive house in that county. Like I don't think people are
It's
interested in it. It's interesting.
I think it's entertaining, but it's not really targeting the right audience. Like no one, a buyer or a seller might not look at that video. It might even be intimidating that, oh, this person is already getting so many views. Like they might feel hesitant to call that person. But if it's more, and I generally think house tours are very specific. Like I think neighborhood videos or talking about the area and those kind of things, I think are more like sustainable in the long run, add more value than, especially these luxury house tours. I mean, they're fun to watch, but
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if they will always bring the right target audience.
Yeah, I agree. Have you seen in the B-roll from Carrollwood that giant like sandstone house? It's this
No, I
Indian
don't remember
family.
this.
He's a doctor, and it's the biggest house in the county. And
Right.
it's like three houses because his kids live there, and it's like this huge palatial grounds.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sure I could get access to tour that place,
Yeah.
and it would like scratch an itch. I would get a lot of local views, I think, but
Yeah.
it just wouldn't actually bring in the audience that I want.
Yeah.
It would bring in like viewers, curious viewers, and yeah, I've kind of pulled away from that kind of thing.
I feel like it could be good content for social media because social media is where you could it's not permanent, so you can always just make one reel and it
Yeah, that's
gets
true.
some views
Yeah,
and helps your channel, like helps your page just stand out. But yeah, there's no SEO to it, so
yeah, super interesting. I'm excited to see kind of how things go. I don't think they're going to change that much.
yeah,
Yeah, the market's been slower, so like I think people, even with bigger established YouTube channels like me, like yeah, it's not the same as 2021, 2022, where like your phone's ringing every day. But
yeah.
when people call, they are the best clients.
Right.
And then you can really take care of them. We have this guy moving from California right now, and he was in town a couple months ago, and I met with him because my partner was out of town, and come to find out, he knows one of our past clients. Then
Wow.
he got together
Smart
with that
world.
past client the next day, and he's like, "What? You're working with Sam too?" And they laughed about it. It was funny, but this guy is buying remotely from California. We've showed him houses in person, but now he's back there, and he found this house that he really liked.
Mhm.
We've been negotiating this deal, and then we just can connect him to, oh, there's that smell in that one room. Here's our cleaner that we would use for that. Here's our inspector. Here's this painter that we would use for these other things. Like here's this and this and this. And he's like, I can't believe the systems you guys have.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, these clients, they need that, all those systems, but they really just like us.
Yeah.
So like
I
they're very casual with us. They're like very like honest and trusting, and like the seller also wasn't willing to pay us a commission, so he's paying us a commission, but we're adding so much value that it's worth it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a trend I've seen with even when I talk to my other clients that it's not about the number of like it's not about the quantity of leads that YouTube may bring. It might be a smaller number in the beginning, but it's about the quality of them. They are so ready to convert by the time they are calling
Yeah,
that they are like 90%, most of them are 90% there. So if you might get like a lot more leads through, like I was talking to another client, like through his newsletter he gets a lot of leads, but the people that call in through YouTube, he's like 9 out of 10 of them I end up working with them because I think YouTube has that which you talk about all the time, like they get to know, like, and trust you, right? They see your
right.
face, they see how you talk, they see how you would work in business. And even though it's a one-way conversation, they feel like it's a two-way conversation, like
Yeah,
especially if you come across that way talking directly to them. they feel like it's a two-way conversation. So by the time they call, they're like, oh, I already know you. Like, I feel like I've spoken to you before. So that feeling gets conveyed in YouTube, which I think is the best advantage of it, that people feel really excited to work with their realtors by the time they call.
Absolutely. You know, there's so many conversions in the process. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody like deciding where they want to live, then
Mm-hmm.
deciding who they want to work with, and then
Mm-hmm.
like actually like looking at houses and making offers, and then like negotiating inspections, and then getting referrals. Like there's so many of these conversions,
Yeah.
and so many of them are done before they call with
Yeah.
a platform like YouTube. Like they're actively saying, "Hey Sam, will you help us find a house? Hey
Yeah.
Sam, can we schedule a Zoom call?" Like
Yeah.
I'm not having to convert them on me. So another common way if you're new to real estate to get leads is to go host open houses. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people are out on the weekends, they want to stop in and see houses. Great. It
Yeah.
gives you a chance to actually talk to somebody who's in the market too. It's a great way to like get your feet wet. But you
Yeah.
have to convince those people to work with you within like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do something else. They're trying to look at a house and you're
Yeah.
trying to convince them to work with you. And it's really challenging.
Yeah.
But with YouTube, they get often hours with me before they
Mm-hmm.
actually call me. By
Yeah.
the time they call me, they know things about me and my family and where I live and what my house that flooded and my opinion about different kinds of areas all the way across the whole Tampa area. So it just minimizes that need to convert at the beginning.
Yeah. Absolutely. And people want to work with people at the end of the day. People want to work with someone they trust. And when, they get to see the realtors process through all of these videos, when they call, they feel this kind of trust that, oh, they've got me covered. Like
Yeah.
whatever it is I need, they'll figure it out because they've heard all of these stories through these videos all the time. And then there's less pressure also, I think, like comparing to the open house, there's a little bit of friction because they're trying to sell, they're trying to like see the house, it's kind of like awkward or whatever. But over here, I think the clients get to watch, like your clients get to watch the video in their comfort of their house when they want, when they don't want. So they don't feel as salesy about it.
Yeah.
And so that I feel convinces them a little bit more. Okay, yes, I think this is something I want to pursue.
Well, and people literally tell us. I say, "Hey, why'd you call us?" And they're
Hmm.
like, "Ah, you just seemed like chill, not as salesy. Feel like
Yeah.
somebody I'd want to grab a beer with." Like
Yeah.
it just changes the whole experience for them, and it takes something that felt a certain way for so long. It's like, well, what if we made it feel completely different? And like,
Absolutely.
what if we like applied other kind of things? And that's something that we're doing now. Like, how do we apply digital marketing techniques with lead magnets and
Hmm.
webinars and funnels? How do we do things like that in
Yeah.
a more like strategic way, like a digital marketer would? And so
Yeah.
we're doing things like sending tons of emails to our database. We send
Yeah.
3 to 4 emails every week, and our open rate is still over 30%. One of my coaches is like, your open rate needs to be way lower. You need to send way more emails. So we're going to look at some strategies of doing daily emails. And it could be like
Wow.
really short. It doesn't have to be real big,
Yeah.
but people are opening them and reading them and eventually reaching out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really interesting.
but I still think YouTube is a huge opportunity for people. Like it's
Yeah.
not your markets are not too saturated. Like you
No.
are the thing you're selling is you, and that
Yes.
you have a unique perspective on the area. If you don't, then go read and figure out and like study the area and like get interested in something about it. For me,
Yeah.
like people like that we put up so much maps. Like that I like know the populations of the areas and kind of
Hmm.
like quirky differences between really specific areas.
Yeah.
Some of my competitors they're born and raised here.
Hmm.
They love the area, and that
Hmm.
their love of the area comes out in their videos. Like that's valuable
Yeah.
too. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like
No.
whatever you have to use it.
Absolutely. And I think that's what it is. I think sometimes people think too hard about, what do I actually talk about? But you talk about what you think of what about the things are, like your own opinion, your own values. Like, of course, certain things you can't be very opinionated about as a realtor,
Yeah,
but just generally talking as if you talk to a friend about what the vibe is like, what the culture is like, what are the restaurants like, are there more families, are there more parks, whatever it is.
yeah, yeah,
I think people can get like bogged down with the details of things, but being authentic and being yourself is the biggest selling factor. I think at the end of the day, it's a personal branding that you're trying to build up, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you are the brand. You and who you represent is the thing, is the reason why people will choose you over other realtors, over working with whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people need to dive into that. Realtors need to just figure out what is it that they enjoy about working with clients, and which are the areas or whatever, like deep dive into themselves. And I think that will give them enough content and confidence to get started with like all these social media platforms. No need to like overthink it, I think, too much.
Yeah. 100%. Anmol, thanks for being here. I'm excited to see you keep growing, and obviously we'll keep doing this together
Yes.
for the time being until one of us like makes a big mistake. No, I'm just kidding. No,
No.
I I have like no I'm like nervous you're gonna stop doing it. Like that's more my fear is like Anmol's gonna go get a real job. She's gonna get tired of running a business. Or she's just gonna like move to the US and do something else. Or I'm always nervous about that. When you're like, let's do a Zoom call and catch up. I'm like, oh no, I can't go back.
That's so funny that you're saying that, because it's usually the other way around, where like we are worried about like clients leaving us.
No,
But
I'm
no,
completely codependent at this point.
I'm not going anywhere. This is why I wanted to start a business, so that I'm here for the long haul and I want to do this for a long, long time and get better and do more things. So I have really enjoyed working with you, and I've honestly learned so much about not just systems and process, but just generally how to be better as a business person and as a, someone who's so productive. Like I see your calendar and hear about all the things you have to do, and I'm like, Sam always gets so much done and there's so much productivity. So super inspiring, and it has been so much fun working with you. And I know we will for a long, long time, but I hope
Yeah,
we
yeah.
work on a lot of other projects and a lot of other things also, and can keep continuing this for a long, long time.
Awesome, Anmol. Thanks for being here. I'm excited for other realtors to hear this, and just friends of mine that have asked about our relationship. I think it's kind of interesting to get a preview into this because
Yeah, absolutely.
we talk a lot. Now, some
Yeah.
months we don't talk as much, but I talk to you more than I talk to some of my best friends, and that's just how it goes. Like we're
I
just
feel
doing.
like we're always in touch in
Yeah,
one way or another. So,
absolutely. I'm like sending you pictures of my kids and stuff.
yeah, I
You're like
love
trying
it.
to just not talk about Taylor Swift, whatever
Yes.
it is. No, no,
But
Anmol, I really appreciate it. I'm excited for people to get a lot of value out of this. So thanks for
yes,
being here.
thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.